Come sit over here. I'll just set up the camera. You're good. This is where you sit.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Or do you want to sit? You have to have the comfortable. You have the wrong seat at the party. The whole party is. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I put up the video. I make a video of it because my father in Eretz Yisrael likes to watch.
That's very nice.
So.
That's nice.
So Samach Gimel, 63. We started right on the top. Ha'omer, harei alai b'machavas. Someone says, I accept on myself to bring a korban mincha in a machavas. Turn to the second, the second part because it's too mesach this thing.
I'll find it. I don't want to disturb. Thanks.
Let me help you.
Okay, all right. Freshman.
Yeah. That's 110.
Okay, I got it.
If you want, you can use in English also, if you want. So there's two types. There's two types of pans here that we're going to be discussing. One of them is called a machavas. I don't want to give it away. The Gemara is going to discuss what it means, and the Mishnah is going to discuss what it means. He says he's going to bring a mincha in a machavas. Lo yavi b'marcheshes. You should not bring a mincha in the other type of pan, which is called a marcheshes. Simply, the machavas is a flat pan, and marcheshes is a deep pan, but we'll see the details. B'marcheshes. It skips the first part of the phrase. If he accepts on himself to bring in a marcheshes, lo yavi b'machavas, then he should not bring a machavas. Those are separate menachos. He has to bring what he accepted. Ma bein machavas and marcheshes. What is the difference between these two pans? Well, marcheshes yesh la kisei. Marcheshes has a covering on it. So it's a pan with a cover. Machavas ein la kisei. The flat pan doesn't have a cover. How would we say that in today? Is it like a skewer, a skillet, or something? There's pans that have the way you
A frying pan or a
saute.
skillet?
A frying pan or a skillet.
Skillet.
Or a skillet. A skillet has a cover, right?
Well, I don't
Not
know.
necessarily. I'll have to ask.
You can cover whatever you
So
want.
far, the daf doesn't have the women's section. Okay. Divri Rabbi Yossi Aglili. This is the words of Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Rabbi Yossi Aglili is a contemporary student of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel Aimer. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel says, Marcheshes amuka u'maseh roichshin. Machavas tzafa u'maseh kashin. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel says that a marcheshes is deep, and what's made in it is roichesh. Roichesh means creeps. It wiggles, sort of, like if you put your finger in it. Because it's a deeper pan, so the oil and mixture are looser. Machavas is tzafa. Tzafa means that it floats, sort of. That means that it's
English says shallow.
Shallow. Good.
They both float.
Yeah.
But
But I think it
on oil,
means,
it floats.
I think what it means, floats means that it's not as deep. That means that you look at the bottom, it looks like it's raised. I think that's what it means. And therefore, what's made in it becomes crispier. Okay, so one is more loose and one is crispier. The Gemara asks, this is a very interesting Gemara, and it's very appropriate for exactly the time that we're in, as I'll show you. My timer. What's the reason, the Rabbi Yossi? What's the reason of Rabbi Yossi? He calls him here Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Ilema marcheshes. If we say that marcheshes, the word marcheshes, we're going to go to the etymology. Where is this coming from? The asya arachushe halev, that it comes from the word rachushe lev. That means the thoughts of the heart. You see, Rabbi Yossi says that a marcheshes is a covered pan. How's he getting marcheshes to mean covered? Where does that come from? What's the source of that? He says, well, thoughts. The word for thoughts is rachash. We have a pasuk for it. Kedeksiv, rachash libi davar toiv. My heart thinks a good thought, something good. So therefore, what if thoughts are hidden? So therefore, the pan is covered. Umachavas. And what is the flat pan? The asya amachbui hapeh.
63A1.
It comes from the expression of the mouth. Kida amriyenshi, as people say, minaveach nevuche. Now, I don't know. Minaveach nevuche means speak, but I don't know the connotation. Does it mean to babble? I don't know.
Bark.
But is that what it is, to bark?
I don't know what the English says, but...
Oh, so, okay, good. So it means that he's...
but here it really means to be hidden.
Rashi...
Bais.
No, 1 second. 1 second. Over here we're saying rachash means conceal, and machavas comes from the word minaveach nevuche, which means to express, to be open.
Emitting sound like a dog.
Emitting sound. Is that what it says? Emitting sound?
No, but I'm just saying.
So...
from Hebrew, it's...
So that the Hebrew it means to bark. Rashi says, kagon shehirchel, it sounds like someone that's a tale bearer. Is a gossiper, right? So if that's we're looking for the source, the etymology of the word marcheshes, according to Rabbi Eily, that says that it means a covered pan, and machavas, which means an open pan. So we say that rachash means that the thoughts which are covered, and machavas means to speak. Minaveach nevuche. So that means that it's open.
You think it's Mar Cheshvan, right?
So 1 second, we'll get to it. Ema ibcha. If that's the case, then we can say exactly the opposite. Why? Machavas da asya amachbui halev. Machavas could come from what's hidden in the heart. The ksiv lama nachvesel levrayach. Why did you conceal to escape? So the word. This is by Yaakov when he runs away, where he leaves Lavan without telling him, and he uses the word. Lavan says, "Lamanach beisel levrayach." Why did you conceal to run away from me? So we have the word machavas to mean conceal. In marcheshes, the asya arachushe. And marcheshes comes from I think it means whispering, speaking. Kadam riyenshi having marachshan sifseiseh. His lips were moving, which means to speak. So marcheshes, instead of meaning a covered pan, could also mean a whispering or an open pan. Ela Gemara Gemirila. The Gemara leaves us with this sort of anticlimactic answer that it's just a tradition. So we don't really have
what is it? Allah
yeah. But that's what it is. That's a tradition of what it is, according to Rabbi Eily, that it's covered. So I heard from on a tape from Shlomo that he says that Mar Cheshvan is Merachshan Sifsi. Merachshan, this word, this Gemara right here. Merachshan Sifsi. Sifsi Seah. The lips are moving, we mentioned, because after Yom Tov, all the davening that we're doing, so the lips are still moving from the, like what I could have said, what I could have davened for, what I should have said. Okay. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel Aimer. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel said that it wasn't a covered pan or a open pan. He says that it's a deep pan or a flat pan or a shallow pan. Marcheshes amuka. Marcheshes means a deep pan. The ksiv v'chol nasa b'marcheshes. Anything that's made in, the emphasis here, inside. Machavas tzofa, the ksiv v'yal machavas, ana machavas. So the preposition of in or on tells me, is it a deep pan or is it a shallow pan, right? The bin means in and al means on. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught. This is a brisa that's referring to Nidarim. And when someone takes a vow, so the language that he uses is significant. What did he mean when he said that? So it says Beishamai Yoimrim, Beishamai say, we'll see here in Machlekes Beishamai and Beisila. Beishamai say, Ha'imar Harei Alai Marcheshes. If someone says he accepts on himself Marcheshes, what does he mean? We don't know what he means. Does he mean the carbon mincha, which is a mixture of flour and oil, that's in a marcheshas, which we said is a deep pan, or a covered pan.
Woo.
Or does he mean the pan itself? Because he didn't say, he's missing the prefix, the Bais, which means in. He didn't say, I accept on myself, like in the Mishnah it says, Eily b'machavas, or b'marcheshes. He didn't say, I accept on myself what's in a marcheshes. He just says, I accept on myself marcheshes. So Beishamai says, you have to leave it. Beishamai is in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, I assume. And nevertheless, they say we don't have what for you to do, because we don't know if you mean a mincha,
It's very modern.
or if you mean the pan itself.
Wow.
In the Bais Hamikdash, they didn't know.
So, because he doesn't say in, he just says Harei Alai Marcheshes. So Beishamai says we don't know if Marcheshes is the name of the flour and oil that's made in this pan, or is it the name of the pan.
Wow.
Look, Marcheshes could mean that it wiggles. That means that it's the name of the food inside. Marcheshes could also mean that it's a covered pan. A covered pan. That means it's the name of the pan. So really, this shaila of Beishamai is really where did we get the name Marcheshes from in the Mishnah? I didn't see this
So
commentators
there's no
explain
argument
it like this, but this,
that they had the marcheshes in the time of Beis
yeah,
Hamikdash.
the shaila is if someone doesn't say b'marcheshes, what does it mean? This is a Hilchos Nedarim. The whole Nedarim is like this. What does he mean if he says marcheshes? Okay, so the Mefarshim asked, Tosfos asks, he says, why doesn't he just bring both? Well, why do we say Yehi Munachet Shev Elio?
What do you mean both?
We said that we have no solution. Many times when you don't have a solution, you should bring a mincha and bring a pan, because we have a suffix here. What does marcheshes mean?
So bring a minchas marcheshes and a pan of marcheshes.
And donate a pan for marcheshes. That would have been a way out, instead of saying that the emunach you have to leave it until Eliyahu Navi comes. And we find that in other cases. So Tosfos answers where the person specified that this money should be should be specifically for this. He specified, and then we can't divide the money. He specified that this money should be
Why don't you
marcheshes.
tell them add so
Well, the
there's
question
enough
is
for
this
both.
money. The question is what's going to be with this money, because he specified that this money should be marcheshes. Okay, Mesafkalu. Do you want to? If you use a Hebrew, use one of these. This is a newer edition, updated.
Gemara Moon proves it.
No, the letters are nicer. Yeah, Samach Gimel. So going too far. Samach. There's one more. Okay, and probably about 15 lines down. Misafkalu. Iyal Shum Keli. Is it referring to the vessel Nikru? That's what it's called? Oyal Shum Maseyim. We know it's called the Minchas Marchesh. Is it because of the vessel, or is it because of what's inside, what's made? And the way we explained in the Mishnah is it because the vessel is covered, or is it because the food inside wiggles? That's why it's called Marcheshes. Beisil Leimer and Beisil say, Klei Haya B'Mikdash. There was a vessel in the temple. Marcheshes Shema. It was called a Marcheshes. V'day Min Kalbus Amak. It was similar to a kalbus. And they have a picture here of what it's supposed to look like.
Here, it's a totally different picture.
No, that's something else. That's the next section. That's the next section. A kalbus, they're saying
This
is
is also kalbus here.
Yeah, but
Rashi.
that's the next description. It gives a more details. The kalba somehow has two heads. It's a pan that has two heads and it's bent over. So they're showing it like this.
Yeah, this picture.
You have a picture like that?
Yeah.
They used to make cakes. I remember a pan. It has
Yeah,
what's it called?
it's a full circle.
A full circle. What's it
Bunt,
called?
bunt.
Bunt. This is a bunt of missing
Half
that.
a bunt.
Half a-
3/4 bun.
3/4 bunt.
With the rest.
Okay. The next description is that description that you have in your Gemara. It says, "Ukishabatzik munach b'toicha." When the dough is inside, doimikimin tapuchei havratim, ukimin baluti hayavanim. Apparently, on the bottom of it, there were bumps, like little.
So it doesn't stick to the bottom.
So it doesn't stick, I guess. Little bumps, and the dough inside would look like these little bumps. Now, tapuchi havratim, I think I saw it. It meant no,
Sides of little apples.
little apples. What is havratim? Does it say over there?
Aloinim. Well, Rashi says, Hagdelim ba'aloinim. Aloinim is a tree.
Now, aloin. Where do you see that hagdelim? Oh, you saw the
Rashi.
havratim. No, I have in the next one in baluti hayavanim. I have hagdelim ba'aloinim is chestnuts. I think. Kashtanim were chestnuts, like brown.
Acorn.
Acorns. Okay, so that's what the dough would have. I'm sorry. What does it say? It says something kashtanim. It means okay. Whatever it is. There's bumps on the bottom, and va'omer, and we have a verse. Anything that's made in a marcheshes and on a machavas, what does this mean? Alma, al shuma kelim nikru. It's called that because of the vessel, v'lo al shuma asayim, and not because of what it's made
the
inside.
outcome?
And
Yeah.
so therefore, according to Bais Hillel, if someone says harei alai marcheshes, he brings the marcheshes, he brings the actual keli itself.
But can't you know by the amount of money he brings if it's a marcheshes or a Menachem?
That's a good question. That's a good
See,
question.
a vessel costs more than a
That's a good
little
question.
couple of
That's a
ounces
good
of flour.
question. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
The Gemara says that. The Gemara many times when it has doubts, it says, "Well, let's look at the money." And the Gemara says,
Show me the money.
You know what the Gemara said? The Gemara says we're talking about a time that in that time this was so expensive that it was the same as that. That's the Gemara answers. The Gemara it does it in Baba Kama when it talks about we don't know if it's a chavis or a kad. When he says because it could mean the same thing. It says, well, look at how much he paid. It says we're talking about a time when the kad and the chav, right? Someone bought an animal. We don't know if it was an animal for shechting or for plowing, a working animal, or it was too wild to work. So we'll look at the money. It says no, the meat was so expensive at that time that we didn't. Okay, a new Mishnah. Hariyalai b'tanar. If someone says I'm gonna bring a mincha that's baked in an oven, lo yavi mafik kupach. A kupach is a smaller oven, but it's a different name. A kupach has a space on the top for one pot. A tanner also has space on the pot for one pot, but the difference is, no, a kupach has a space on the pot for two pots. It's a rectangle. A tanner is like a cone shaped. It has space on the top for one pot, but it's used to bake inside.
Like this.
Yeah, trapezoid, excellent. So, isn't that great? So, it was used to bake inside the tanner, and the kupach could also be baked inside. It also had these holes that you could slide the pot into on the top, but it has a different name. So, if the question is, someone accepted on himself to bring in the tanner, something that's made in a tanner, was he allowed to bring something that was made in a kupach? It's a different oven. V'lei ma'afer ra'afim, and not something that's baked on. Ra'afim, I think, are hot stones. What does it say in your thing? Does it have anyone have a commentary there? Tiles. Ma'afer yoyers ha'arviyim, also not on the pots of the Arabs. I think they would make a lafa. They would heat up a pan, and they would throw the flat dough in, and then they would cover it, and it would bake inside a hot piece of metal. Remember, we lost power once, one of the hurricanes years ago. We didn't have challah. So I had a neighbor that says, "Oh yeah, I lived in the Middle East. I would watch the Bedouins. This is what they would do. They would heat up a pan on the grill and make it really hot, and then they would put it down, throw the dough on it, and so I tried it. We made challah. It looked more like matzah, pita bread. So you can't bring it like that." He said it a tanner. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Rotza mevi ma'afer kupach." A kupach and a tanner, although it's two types of ovens, but it's all under the category of oven. If someone accepts on himself mincha that's made in an oven, that's baked, you have to bring either or. The pasuk gives you the option. It says, I'll read to you the pasuk. It's Vayikra Bais Dalet, chapter 2, verse 4. It says, if someone, and when someone will bring a carbon mincha baked in an oven, flour, chales matzes belulis b'shemen, chales matzes that's mixed with oil, or it's wafers, rikike matzes meshuchem b'shemen, or it's wafers that are smeared with oil. Either the oil is mixed into the dough and it would be a thicker dough, or it's made as wafers, like more dry, but the oil is smeared on top. Now, you have that option. You can either make chales matzes or rikikim. Rabbi Yehuda says you can't do half and half. You have to choose either or. Reb Shimon mater, Reb Shimon says no, you can do half and half. Now, you would always bring 10 chalas of each. We learned that before. So, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can't bring 5 and 5. 5 chalas, 5 rikikim. Reb Shimon says no, you can bring 5 and 5. It's one carbon, it's all the same. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a brisa. A lot of times we compare the Mishnayos to brises. It helps us clarify what the Mishnah means. The brises are the unedited Mishnayos. It wasn't Rabbi Yehuda bar means outside, so this was like it wasn't put. These were teachings that weren't put into the Mishnah, so we use them to help us clarify information that we have in the Mishnah. It says that baked in an oven means not baked in a kupach. This is the first opinion of the Mishnah. Not baked on those tiles, and not baked in the pots, the vats of the Arabs. Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi says Taner Shnei Pamim. It says in the pasuk the word Taner twice. It says Taner in Parshas Tzav, and it says Taner in Parshas Vayikra. It repeats some halachas of the carbon mincha in Parshas Tzav, and it says the word Taner there as well. It says B'chol mincha shemafe b'Taner. That's what it says in Parshas Tzav, and in Vayikra it says B'chisakriv carbon mincha ma'afi Taner. So it says Taner twice. So we have that twice. Lahach shema'afe kupach. The extra word is coming to teach me the kupach is considered also acceptable. That rectangle oven. Reb Shimon says, I know that it says Taner twice. Reb Shimon's machlekes, the big machlekes here was if you can bring half and half. But Reb Shimon is also arguing on him over here.
Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai.
Whenever it's Reb Shimon, it's always Reb Shimon bar Yochai. Yeah. Taner Shnei Pamim. It says Taner twice. It says the word Taner twice. But Echad Sheteaf Yasan B'Taner. One of them is that it's baked in an oven. Echad Sheekdeshin B'Taner. And one of them is that it's sanctified in an oven. The problem is that where was it baked? Where was the mincha baked? Was it baked in an oven outside the Beis Hamikdash, or was it baked in a oven in the Beis Hamikdash? How was this done? The Gemara asks, does Reb Shimon say that it's sanctified in an oven, that it's sanctified in a holy oven? V'atanan, we have a Mishnah. Reb Shimon says, it's later on in Zvachim, in Menachos Tzaddik, I think. I saw this before. Tzaddik Hey. It says, "Lo'ilam habiragal lo'imer shtei alechem balechem apanim ksheres ba'azar ksheres beis pagi." Should always remember to teach that the two breads and the lechem apanim are kosher whether it's in the azara, or they're kosher whether it's out of the azara in beis pagi. Beis pagi was an area. Two interpretations what it means. Either it means just Yerushalayim, that this is acceptable, or it's an area right outside the right outside the wall of the temple, of the Harabayas, right outside. No, I don't remember if it's the wall of the temple or the Harabayas. Outside the wall of the temple. Whatever the case is, if it was sanctified in an oven, then if you take it out of the temple, then it becomes puzzle. If it wasn't sanctified yet, then it's allowed to be outside the temple. It's not sanctified. Where would it get sanctified? When you brought it inside and you put it on the table, or whatever the service of this was. So because Reb Shimon says that the breads are acceptable out of the temple, so therefore it must mean that they're not sanctified in an oven, because then they wouldn't be acceptable there. So how could Reb Shimon say that the two words taner, one is that it's made in an oven and one is that it's sanctified in an oven? It's coming to exclude what Rabbi Yehuda says, that one of them is teaching me that it's kosher in a kupach. He says, no, we use it for something else. So, but how could he say that, sanctified in an oven, if he tells me clearly that it's not sanctified in an oven and it's kosher outside the temple? If it was sanctified, it wouldn't be kosher outside the temple. So Amar Rava says, let's adjust the words a drop. That it needs to be sanctified for the taner, not sanctified in a taner. That when it's donated, a person has to say that he's donating it for the mincha that's made in an oven. That's what the word taner is teaching me. Okay. It means even when he's donating this flour and oil, he says that he's donating it on condition that it's made in the oven. Okay. If someone accepts on himself a carbon mincha that's baked in an oven, you cannot bring half chalas and half rikikan, half loaves and half wafers, crackers. See, etc. And then in that etc. it says Reb Shimon argues, and Reb Shimon says yes, it's one carbon and you can. If you're following in the Hebrew, what happens is when the Gemara quotes a small phrase in between the colons, just a small phrase, what that means is that it's repeating a phrase from the Mishnah, and then it's going to go and explain that. The punctuation in the Gemara is older than what we're used to, so it doesn't. Today we'd put in quotation marks, and then we would understand that it's being quoted from the Mishnah. Over here, it just has words between two colons, and then we're supposed to understand that. Ketana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a brisa. The chisakriv. What this brisa is doing is it's going through the pasuk in Vayikra that describes the carbon that's baked in an oven. Are you comfortable? You want more room for your... Okay. V'chisakriv. That's the first part of the pasuk, and that means kishetakriv lasis dvar rishus, when he's going to do a donation, he comes close to bring a voluntary donation. Karban mincha. Is that supposed to be part of this? They have a few additions to a few versions of this. Let's see how they write it here. Yeah, they read it together. Kishetakav lasis tvar or rishus, then he brings carbon mincha. if he wants to bring this voluntary donation, he brings this meal offering. A carbon mincha is a meal offering. Until this day, I don't know why, what the association is when we daven mincha and the carbon mincha in the Bais Hamikdash. It's confusing because you say, oh, mincha, it must be brought in the afternoon. It has nothing to do with the afternoon. It's just a confusing term for us. But I don't know why it's associated like that. I remember I asked my father as a kid, was a mincha brought in the afternoon? Because carbon mincha. It's just called carbon mincha.
Nothing to do with the afternoon.
I never learned anything about that. It doesn't seem so. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Minayan la'aymer. From where do we know that someone that says, Harei alai minchas mafeh, that someone that says that I accept on myself to bring a carbon mincha that's baked in an oven. Yavi mechza chales mechza rikikin. Shalo yavi mechza chales mechza rikikin. He shall not bring half loaves and half wafers. Talmud carbon mincha. It says carbon mincha. That's a singular. Carbon echad amarti lach v'leishnayim v'shleisha karbanos. He said you bring one carbon. You don't divide this into 2 or 3 sacrifices. So you're only allowed to bring one type together with it. Amalei Reb Shimon responds, and he says, "V'chinamar carbon." We turn the page, we're on top of 63b. Does it say carbon shnei pamim? Does it say carbon twice? It only says the carbon once. V'nemar by chales urikikin, and it says, in this one carbon, it says loaves and wafers. Miyata, from this we see. Ratza lahavi chales, maybe. You want to bring loaves? Bring loaves. Rikikin, you want to bring wafers? Maybe, you can bring them. Mechza chales, mechza rikikin. If you want to bring half and half, maybe. You can bring that as well. Because it's all one. The Torah calls it one carbon. So the loaves and the wafers are one. So it's not a problem. Ubaylan, if you bring half and half loaves and half rikikin, so you have to do kmitza. You have to take a section of it, a scoop of it in your fingers to burn it on the altar. You have to do kmitza. So, but which one are you going to do kmitza from if you make them separately? So it says you mix it all together, b'kamatz mishneim, and you do kmitza from both of them. And if you did kmitza and you look at your hand and you find that there's only, it's filled with only one of them, this is yatsa, that's also good. Because it was mixed together and that's what happens. Okay, now Reb Shimon has a very strong claim. Rabbi Yehuda tells him that, no, it's one carbon. So it's one carbon, so you have to only bring one. You can't bring... Reb Shimon tells him back, it's one carbon, that means that it's one carbon. You can bring half and half, it's one.
Oh,
It says it's one. Isn't that amazing? That one svara